Okay, so we're good to go. Last episode of Tyranny of Dragons, that episode name was A Taste of Armageddon, and basically what happened after you watched Roscoe being pulled inside the tunnel under the winery, you hurried down to save him as well. And you succeeded in eliminating two troglodytes, those reptilian creatures. You later identified them as troglodytes. You managed to kill two of them, and at that point, Sidrian's fang, he has this dragon fang stuck in his backpack, it began to glow. And at that same moment, you heard more hissing and more noises coming from down below the tunnel. And you decided to continue and headed down to the bottom of the tunnel, where it opened up to a large cavern split by an underground river. And in the middle of this cavern there was a forest of stalagmites, and in between two massive stalagmites there was a portal open. There was a wizard. Later you found out that his name was Barzim, and he was wearing purple robes, and he was operating the portal through which a lot of troglodytes basically poured into the cavern from a marshy landscape. You didn't exactly identify that place from which they came from. Next to the wizard there was this huge armed troglodyte. Later on you learned that his name is Haslat, and he basically waited beside the wizard. Now at this point you decided to simply attack to stop this invasion of troglodytes, and you managed to kill the wizard after Azael cast a spell on him that allowed Roscoe to basically sneak inside the cavern. Also Sidrian's fang that suddenly exploded with light, blinding everyone, also helped Roscoe to basically get a drop on the wizard. With the wizard gone and the portal closed, you had some time to basically talk with the troglodytes, and Aslat, their leader, staked Roscoe for a new leader of sort. There was also a small scene in which Azael found himself in a dark chamber, finding the skeletons of Davian's wife and daughters, and they danced around him before scattering up to the surface. Also, Talrashar fell into a pit, and there were three prisoners there: a male shield dwarf, a human, and a female drow elf, and they were all in rags and exhausted. You basically investigated the cave. Haslat was he didn't challenge you because he was listening to what Roscoe was saying, and you realized that the troglodytes are part of probably a larger force, and someone named Rezmir is basically orchestrating those raids on several settlements along the Sword Coast. One of them, according to a map you found, is Greenest. You decided to send Talrashar with evidence to warn the people of Greenest, while the rest of you stayed with the troglodytes and tried to basically stall and buy time so that they will stay inside until reinforcement arrives. And we stopped last night with Talrashar watching Greenest as it being attacked by a dragon and a lot of raiders, and a cutscene to the cave. Those troglodytes became rather restless, and attempts at persuading them to simply stay in the caves didn't seem to work that well. So with that, let's see what Talrashar is. You know what? No. Let's talk about what Roscoe, Azael, and the rest of you do. So, if I remember correctly, last time, let me see, who was it who rolled for persuasion? I'm not sure.
Azael, I think, was trying to persuade Haslat.
Yep.
And while Roscoe was pickpocketing the dead wizard.
Exactly. So, Azael, you notice that Haslat and his warriors, they basically surround you and the prisoners who, all three of them take a step back. And Haslat looks at you and says, "Warriors need food." And then he points at the three prisoners.
At this moment, I'm going to cast a minor illusion. And the sound of, at the entrance, if we came into this cavern, a sound of, sounds like someone saying, "Down here," and immediately afterwards dispel it and cast again another sound of people coming in this direction.
Great. Roscoe?
Did I find anything in the pockets of the wizard?
So I think I told you what you found on the wizard's body. I think I have it in the group treasure already. Those scrolls, I think, and the map of the Sword Coast with arrows pointing at Greenest, and those other towns probably marked for more raids. I think that was it, but maybe I'm...
I believe we found that in his cave, but not on his person, but I don't really remember.
Oh, right, sorry. Yeah, that was on his chamber. So on the wizard, so you basically have only his bottom half, right? The portal closed and severed his body in two. So all you find are basically his boots, the lower portion of his robes, and there is a pouch belt all around his waist, and inside you find a lot of spellcasting components. But it will take time to sort them all out.
Okay, Roscoe will take the pouch, and I'll say, "Commander Haslat," and I will stand up and salute him, and I'll say, "Maybe your soldiers can eat this. He's dead," and point to the wizard or kick it.
But at this time,
yeah,
as I was saying, at this time I created the minor illusion, so it sounds like there's people coming.
Right.
So I'll go, "If you want food, it's coming up there." And I point to the direction of where the noise is coming from.
Okay. So Haslat immediately lifts his reptilian hand and sends two of his warriors to check out what happened or what is the source of the noise inside the tunnel. Two of them simply rush forward and climb into the cave and disappear from view.
Just to get an idea, how many troglodytes are we dealing with here? We have the leader and how many other ones? Minus two?
You count, and it seems to be 12 of them around you. Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. Roscoe also wants to make a Commander Slot, and he's like saluting him in this sort of military way. I have a scouting report to deliver while we wait. I think the headquarters here are under threat of something. Maybe we should investigate the threat. There was a strange sound outside.
Aslat looks at you and says, "2 warriors." And he basically points to the location where his 2 warriors went up the tunnel. At this point, Roscoe, you feel a tug in your sleeve. As you turn around, you can see the dwarven prisoner. He looks at you and says, "Our weapons! Get us our weapons! We will fight! I don't want to be eaten by those lizard men!"
Okay. Is he whispering this, or he's telling them this?
No, his booming voice explodes in the cavern. All the troglodytes look at him.
I will turn on my telepathic communication with him, and I will say, "Don't talk so loud. They think we're on the same side. Where is your gear? Do you know?"
And he scratches his head, watching you speak inside his head without moving your lips. And then he says, "Of course we are on the same side. You saved us. Now get us our gear."
No, I meant the lizards think we're on the same side. Hey, where is your... Okay. And so then I will turn it off, and I will turn to Commander Hislat, and I will say, our fellow soldiers have been negligent, and they lost their gear, and we have to find it before we proceed. Can your men help us retrieve their gear in the cave?
He looks at you, and then he puts his hand on the hilt of his sword. Then he says, "You, friend with food?"
Then I chime in and say, "No, these are ours. They're not food. They are now our soldiers. We need every man available to attack Greenest. Is there a problem here?" And at this time, I'll cast Minor Illusion on my hand and create a fire to add in the intimidation.
Awesome. I need you to roll. Roll an intimidation check and make it with advantage due to the display of power you just did.
18.
Okay. Haslat looks between you and between the two of you, Roscoe and Azael, and at this point, a lot of his warriors look at him, and I need you both to roll insight checks.
18.
Okay.
12.
So you both realize that you've basically put him, at least in the eyes of his warriors, you basically challenged him, so they are watching how he responds, and it might prove difficult for him to control his men if he is challenged this way. You read it in his body language. He says, as he points at the three prisoners, "Food, food, don't fight."
Then I look back at him. "Are you challenging us?"
And his men draw closer, and at this point, you, Azael, you hear a voice next to your ear, a feminine one's, and she says, and you immediately identify the dark elf. She says, "Oh, this becomes a lot more interesting than I thought." Cutscene to Talrashar. You stand on the hill watching basically Greenest burn. A lot of raiders around. They wander from house to house, torch it, not before they break the door, get inside, and carry whatever they find outside. It can be, silverware or sacks of, tools. Sometimes they even pull one of the villagers out and beat him senseless. All this with, accompanied with this fearful scene of a dragon, a blue one, basically circling the skies, and every now and then make a dive attack with lightning exploding from his from his jaws, and then the noise of an explosion and rubble all around. A very chaotic scene. In the middle of all this, you spot a group of 3 guards. You identify them from the keep. You know the 3 of them, and they seem to be fighting a group of kobolds. Those small, I think you already know these creatures. And while they seem to be on the winning side, they do wave at you to join them. What do you do?
They're asking me to join them?
Yes, they spotted you and they asked for your help.
Oh,
Make
can't
it.
split the party. Sorry.
No, that's fine. No, it's fine. What do you want to do?
Knowing that my purpose here is to warn the guards, I would as my character I would aid them out, but as soon as I get this open opportunity, I would like to get at least one or two guards to help me go back to where my other group is. How far is the distance between me and where my group is right now?
So that's a 2 hour of walk, but you know on the way there you did it like walking and talking and taking your time. If you run or make sure to do it fast, it can take something like 40 minutes.
I would help out the best way I can for the town first, and then I would ask when I'm given the opportunity to at least drag two guards or at least one guard to help me out, back my group up again. Okay. So yes, I'll go help out the guards here first.
Okay. So as you descend the hill, you see those three guards. They are led by a woman. Her name is Alara Winterspell. And she and the other two guards are walking for Escobert the Red. You know him as well. He's the Castellan of the keep. Mm-hmm. They all look battered and bruised, and it seems like they've been fighting like this for a while now. She calls to you and says, "We need your help." As she, fends off the attack of, you think it's 3 kobolds.
I will aid you, but I have a request. I need two or more guards to aid me back up my group. You see, we also found another interesting event.
She screams, "Not now! Just kill them!" And then she tries to attack one and misses. Her two friends, her two guard friends, also attack, and both of them miss. Do you want to attack one goblin? One kobold?
Yes, I would like to try one.
Okay.
Okay. So I would attack with hand axe first. Will 16 hit?
Yep. Roll your damage.
Or
okay.
6.
You drop one of the goblins. One of the kobolds. One of the kobolds managed to critical hit Alara. She drops down. The other two miss, and the two remaining guards, waving their short swords, manage to dispatch the two remaining kobolds. So now, basically, this chaotic raid is going on all around you, but you 4 are basically in this, a place that is relatively remote from the main action. Alara is bleeding her guts out on the floor. What do you do?
Guts out. Expected more than this from her, but I say that in my head. First of all, since I am still wounded from our fight on that troglodyte cave event, I would like to use second wind.
Okay. Sure.
So I heal myself for 5, and back to my full health. I would ask the guards to where the location of the keep is, or how far are we from the keep.
So one of them, a man named Torem, he looks at you and says, "What are you talking about? What keep? You need to call for help. Where are your friends?"
Well, because this woman is badly injured. She's gonna die soon. I want to get this woman back to a safer place, or even a house.
And
If there's a house here.
And Torum says, no house is safe here. They're kicking doors and killing everyone. We're already doomed. Just get your friends and call for help. Travel, I don't know, to travel to I don't know, what is the nearest big city? You know, you're an adventurer, right? And
I stop him there as he go. I go, calm down, and then I go, and I tell them to take care of this woman, and then I'll force myself to leave them and go back to my group and warn them about the situation, what's going on in the town. Because apparently, no matter what I do here, it's just total chaos.
So so as you turn around, the other guard, another woman named Sidiri, and you know her as well, she says that, where are you going? Turn around. We must get to the keep and get all the people to the keep. What are you doing? Why are you leaving us?
I'm calling for backup. I alone cannot handle this situation. I need my group to aid me on this. If you trust me enough, please bear with me. I need to call them in order for me to change the tide of what is going on here.
Okay, and as you say that, you hear a voice not very far from you, another female voice, and she says, well, Talrashar, I haven't seen you in a while. And when you turn towards this voice, you see a woman you know all too well. Her name is Vedura, and the last time you saw her was when she commanded you and your fellow cultists to attack a helpless village. You refused and fled. She looks at you and she has several raiders, rough-looking men behind her. She smiles and draws her sword. Cutscene to the cave.
Oh shit.
And you basically, Azael, challenged or asked Aslat if he is challenging you. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I tell him, if you want to become food, come and face me.
Oh, Roscoe screams in his head, no! No! Oh.
And at this point, the troglodytes, for some reason, begin to simply shout, hiss, draw their weapons, and there is a riot among them. And it takes just, a split second, and then they're all quiet. And the dwarf that asks you to basically bring him his gear tugs at your sleeve, Roscoe, and he says, well, that was fast. He's dead now. We're next, I'm assuming. And as you turn, you see that the third prisoner, the human, he's lying dead. Obviously, the trogs have cut him down, but strangely enough, he's holding a dagger in his hand, and this dagger is, it wasn't on him when you found him.
Is he like dead? Completely?
Yes, and Haslat looks at the warrior that is standing above him with his spear, covered with blood, and that warrior says, as he looks at you also, Roscoe, he says in broken common, tried steal my dagger.
Yeah, Roscoe just kind of nods. He sort of is nodding, and he just, it's almost like he can't even handle what just happened. I think he's gonna just sort of take the dwarf and say, okay, we are gonna find his gear now while you have lunch. Bye. and then just kind of take the dwarf by the arm, like, and start, I guess, going around the cave and looking for where his gear might be.
Okay. The dwarf follows you, and you two go unchallenged through the cave as the other troglodytes simply run over the corpse of the prisoner and start basically tearing him, tearing him up, as exactly where he fell. The draw elf, she still stands next to you, Azael, and she says, "That was a remarkable display of power, my young man. I think I will stick with you for a while. You don't mind, do you?"
Not at all, as long as you don't get in the way.
Oh, no, yeah. On the contrary, I will do my best to do whatever pleases you. She smiles at you.
And what can you do?
And she looks at her clothes and her, poor condition, and she says, "Well, once I get my clothes back, I can do all sorts of things, unless you want me with my clothes off."
Not at all. Go follow Roscoe and see if you can find your gear.
She does exactly that. And she says, "My name is Renil."
I nod at her and I say my name. Name's Azael.
A powerful name for a powerful man. I admire that. And she goes to fetch her weapons and gear.
At this time, what's Haslat doing?
So Haslat is basically leaning on his huge sword, watching as his men eat and feed. He seems very, how should I put it, not interested in food. You think, if you read his body language correctly, that he thinks really hard about how to keep his warriors around him. He was obviously challenged several times, and you think he's cunning enough to understand that this dead prisoner, he was basically saved by the bell. You also notice that he occasionally look at the tunnel where his two scouts went. They didn't return yet.
Just for kind of a situational awareness, during this time that we've been here, kind of going over plans, would that be considered a short rest?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I'm gonna go towards, well, keeping an eye, I guess, at the slot, move towards Roscoe in the direction he was going. Basically leaving Sidrian with the leader, his slot, for the moment.
Okay. Sidrian looks very, he basically goes to help Roscoe with finding the prisoner's gears. And Roscoe, you do find a package in the wizard's chamber. It was thrown just behind the rock, so you didn't spot it on the first time. You do find a package with the prisoner's belonging, and Renil and the dwarf, he tells you that his name is Traldak. They are both now, they hold, the dwarf basically grabs a chain shirt and his battle axe along with a backpack. The dwarf simply puts a scimitar on her hip and her black leathers. That's basically it. She also has this backpack, probably with some provisions. Sidrian lifts up the gear of the third prisoner, and he looks at it, and it's basically a plate armor, and then he shows it to you, Roscoe, and says, "I know this symbol. And you can see on the breastplate there is a symbol of the Order of the Gauntlet. And he says, that prisoner was a knight.
That's horrible.
The dwarf looks at both of you and he says, what? Are you stupid? It is obvious.
Don't use the S word.
This dark elf killed it. And she will kill us all if we don't get out of here.
I'll turn to her and I'll say, is that true? Are you evil?
So
people say drow are evil.
So you basically went to the wizard chamber, which is a little bit, it's far away from the main cavern. She stands. Oh, sorry, no. She basically went with you to take her gear. So she looks at you and smiles, and she says, "Why no? Why would I be evil? Just because my color is in a different color than my skin color is in a different shade than yours. Does that make me evil?"
Can I do insight on that?
Yep.
Am I there with them at this time?
We can assume so if you want to. So Roscoe, she looks, as if she really took offense from your words. And she says, "I am here on a mission, a very important one."
And what is this mission that you're on?
I have learned that these creatures, and she points at the troglodytes, they hide 3 black dragon eggs nearby. I was sent to locate those eggs and destroy them. We cannot allow black dragons to roam free in this land. These are very dangerous creatures.
I agree. How about we take care of these troglodytes and then head off to try to find those eggs? Allies of convenience.
I have an idea.
We'd like to hear it.
Azael, do you remember when we first came here and I crept toward the house and there was that strange clicking sound? Well,
yes.
Maybe if we can convince the troglodytes that the headquarters is under threat, maybe we can have. Well, I think we should go there with the troglodytes. Maybe some of them will die.
And the dwarf at this point looks at you and says, "That sounds like a good plan, but traveling with the dwarf elf, she will murder you in your sleep."
I'll turn to the dwarf at this time and say, "Enough! I don't want to hear this. At this time, we cannot argue amongst each other. We have a greater threat here. We can talk about this after the threat is taken care of."
So the dwarf seems like he's about to argue even further, but then he looks around and he realizes where he is, and then he backs off, mumbling, "Stupid humans! They think they're dark elves. They're dragon eggs."
All right, what? I'll turn to Roscoe and say, "I think we should follow your plan. It's good. It's good enough of what we got right now, but we got to convince them to go up there. As soon as they turn around to go, though, we need to take care of the leader quickly and take over the command of this troop." Drow, do you have anything that you have in mind as far as maybe sneak attack, something that could help us out?
You ask the draw?
Yes.
Renil. So she says, "I can cast darkness and drown this place in a darkness so thick they will not be able to see through."
Sounds good. When I give the signal, cast the darkness. Roscoe, go ahead and lead the plan.
Okay. So I suppose that I will approach Kaslot again and say, "Is lunchtime over now? Can we go and check out the threat?"
I'll back him up by saying your two guards or scouts haven't returned. I'm assuming the worst. We should all go up there and discover what happened.
He looks at you again with the hand on the hilt of his sword, and he says, "We go nowhere until Scout returns." And at this point, Renil whispers at your ear, "Another interesting turn of events, don't you think?"
At this point, I'm going to cast Hex on his slot.
Okay.
And then I'm going to tell him, "Are you challenging me?"
And we'll cut scene again to Talrashar. So, Tal, you stand there watching the woman that has commanded you to kill so many innocent people and that has caused you to flee. She draws her sword and she says, "Let's finish this here and now, traitor." And the two soldiers, the two guards that are with you, Sidri and Torem, they look at you and say, so Sidiri, the one that suggested that you go get for help, she says, "Run, we'll cover you." What do you do?
I point to the sky and I go, "You forgot my golden dragon." And then I point at the sky just to divert their attention.
Okay, make a deception roll. See if they fall for that. Okay, so Vidura and her soldiers, they look up really fast. So when their eyes are on the sky, what do you do?
I breathe my poison breath towards the group and then I make a run for it if possible.
Okay, so roll that. And as you do, the two remaining guards will draw their swords and basically make this, a wall of two people to cover your escape. Oh cool, so I need to make a saving throw for Vidura and her man. Okay, so Vidura fails. Let's see, 1, 2. Okay, so Vidura fails her save, and your breath of poison simply engulfs her, along with 3 of her minions. 2 others are unaffected. So, yep.
Sorry. As this like smoke of poison cloud covers the field and the guards here backing me up to stall, as I run away, I tell them, "Your efforts will not be in vain. I shall come back with my group." And then I dash out, or like I run as fast as I can.
Okay. Just a minute. Great. So Vidura shrieks and she coughs and gags from the poison that is now coursing through her veins, along with 3 of her people. The 2 others simply rush forward and immediately engage the 2 guards that are covering you. And Vidura screams, "This will not be forgotten! Kel Morath will hear of that!" And you hear the steel upon steel as she and her soldiers basically surround the two remaining guards. You manage to escape and you know, create some distance between you and those two groups. But after you manage to climb the hill, you look down and you see Vedura and her soldiers cut down the two remaining guards.
I just swallow my pride and run back to my other group.
Okay. As you run, so I'm basically assuming that you run. You know, you don't take your time. You do your best to reach the winery as fast as possible. Okay.
Yeah.
So I needed to make 3 Constitution saving throws.
Okay.
Or Constitution checks. Sorry. Just to
Con
see.
checks?
Yep. Just to see that you manage to get there without exhausting yourself. Okay. So you take 1 level of exhaustion. You know,
Okay.
basically doing your best to get there.
Mark that up.
So if I remember correctly, it basically means
Disadvantage on all ability checks.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Basically, something along, you know, exactly the middle between Greenest and the winery. I needed to make, as you run on the trail, I needed to make a perception check.
This is with disadvantage?
Yep.
Okay. 11.
Okay. 11 is good enough to spot 2 troglodytes as they run exactly in the opposite direction of you. They seem to be running toward Greenest, and you identify those green and black scaled creatures. You think these 2 were in the caves with your friends. They didn't seem to have noticed you so far.
Okay, so I'll wait for them to pass by, and then I'll go inside the cave to check my group.
Okay. Okay, so you continue your running for an additional something like 10 to 15 minutes, and you arrive at the winery, you know, breathing and panting, but other than that, you're okay. Let's cut scene to Azael challenge. Azael, make another intimidation check.
Nine.
Okay. You don't think that a slut was swayed by your words, and you hear Renil behind you says, "Uh-oh." As a
How far?
slut, what?
How far is the slot from me at this time?
As far as you want it to be.
Was 30 feet. It's fine.
Yep.
Okay.
So he basically draws his sword, basically lifts it up and says, a slut commands his warriors, not human.
And I said, big mistake, and at this time, I'll go ahead and shoot Eldritch Blast at him.
Great. I need you all in the cave to roll for initiative. Now, Talrashar, you arrive at the scene exactly at this moment. So I mean, you passed by those 2 scouts, and as you enter the winery, you do hear noises of battle from the cave and below. So you can roll.
Yeah.
Oh, you
11.
You did. Okay.
I got a 5.
Azael.
I was.
Do
I was.
do I get an advantage on the attack, or
Initiative.
was it expected?
No, it was expected. Let me roll for the trogs. Okay. So we have a slot and 10 of his troglodytes. 2 of them are missing. They went up to the to probably to scout on Greenest. And we start. Wait, let me roll for the dwarf. And for Renil. Oh. Okay. So, Roscoe, what do you do?
Roscoe is. I don't know. Is there? Where like? Is this where all like the stalagmites and stuff are?
So think about it this way: you were basically, since Azael wanted 30 feet between you and the main force. So let's say that in the middle of the cavern, as I said, there is a forest of stalagmites and stalactites. This is where the entire troglodyte horde is, and you are also all of you are at the wizard's chamber, which is located to the north. I don't know, to the northwest. Of the chamber, and the distance between the two groups is something like 30 feet.
I guess I will try and I guess I'll move up to where Azael is.
Okay.
And stand next to him and take out my spear, and I will say, you know, to his slots, you know, and to everyone, you know, we're friends here. We're on the same side. We shouldn't be fighting. We have more important things to do.
I'll let you roll your persuasion, but with a disadvantage, since they are obviously hostile by now.
Just because I cast Hex, the Charisma is the ability I choose as the disadvantage ability.
Okay, got it. Okay, so Roscoe, you think Haslat is way over, you know, wards. He is basically determined to make sure his warriors see him as the true leader that he is. He simply ignores you. But that was basically, you know, something you said. You can still move and take an action.
Okay, I guess for my action, I will take the ready action.
Okay.
So if a slot or one of the trogs comes up to us, I'll stick him.
Okay, great. At this point, both Troldak, the shield dwarf, and Sidrian draw their weapons and rush to face Haslat. Troldak waves his hand axe, but the huge troglodyte easily dodges that blow. The troglodyte didn't dodge Sidrian's blow, and he is and Sidrian manages to draw blood for the first time. So this is Roscoe, the dwarf, and Sidrian. Tal, what do you do?
So, on my spot, do I spot some troglodytes near me, or
So
do I have to jump?
as you descend, you go through the tunnel. So you're separated from your group. They are located at the northwest side of the cave. You arrive from basically the west. So all you see in front of you is Sidrian and Troldak as they fiercely attack Haslat, who is with his 10 warriors around him in the middle of the forest made by the stalagmites.
Can I get near this giant troglodyte?
Yeah, but
Okay,
you can easily enough.
Okay, so I'll join into the fray and then go. Have no fear, Talrashar is here.
Sidrian smiles, but you obviously see sweat, pouring from him as this huge creature is obviously a big threat. Do you want to attack?
Yeah, yes, if I can.
Yes, you
possible. Okay, so 2 swings, mid hand and offhand.
So the offhand hits a slot.
For 6.
For 6, okay. So you managed to wound him in addition to the wound Sidrian inflicted on him. Great.
I give a thumbs up and then I look away and I breathe heavily.
Okay. At this point, Haslat lifts his huge sword and drops it on Sidrian, managing to hit him. So Sidrian kneels down, this huge wound, pouring blood everywhere. He seems gravely wounded, but he's still on his feet. Let me just... Okay. You, all of you, as you witness this huge troglodyte lifts his sword, you believe that another hit by this trog will kill Sidrian. And the other troglodytes basically surround Troldak, Sidrian, and Utal, and the dwarf gets smacked by 2. They both hit him, and he goes down easily enough. Tal, you are also facing 2 troglodytes. One of them critically misses you. The other one hits with a with an 18. Assuming
that
hits. Okay. So wait a minute. So his bite goes in for 3 points of damage, and his claw misses you. So just one of them manages to bite you.
I'm sorry, what's the damage?
It was 1 damage plus 2, so it's 3 points of damage from his bite. Okay. The other 6 will rush forward to meet Azael, Renil, and Roscoe. So Roscoe, you had a readied action?
Yes.
So, oh yeah. So with 10 points of damage, you skew the troglodyte that rushes to you. He falls down, but you think he's still alive.
I guess with bonus with the ready action, I can't do the bonus attack, correct?
I think you're correct. I'm not sure. I think that the ready action simply lets you to do your action at a later point of time, if I remember correctly. But it's just a single action.
Okay.
Okay. So another troglodyte rushes to you, Roscoe, and he misses you with both his bite and claws. So good for you. two of them come straight at Azael. So the first one hits an AC of 11. Does that hit?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so both his bite and claws go in. So from the bite, you take 3 points of damage. The claws, ooh, that's a little bit more. That's 6 points of damage.
I'm out.
Okay.
Drop to 0 on the last one.
Yeah. And the two others come for Renil. One of them misses her with both his claws and his bite. The other one crits her with his bite, but misses with the claw. So, yeah, she takes 6 points of damage from this crit. So, Renil, she shrieks in pain. Azael, since it's your turn now, I need you to make a death saving throw.
Okay. It's just a D20, right?
A D20, straight D20, and you need 10 or more to succeed.
It's a 9.
So first failure. So Azael basically lies there, drowning in his own blood. At this point, Renil kicks in her darkness spell, and the entire cavern simply goes black. It's like a bubble of darkness that covers everything. And you, since you don't see what she does later on, I won't tell you. But you, so Roscoe, you definitely hear a body being dragged. And since you are next to Azael, you assume this is his body dragged by Renil, but you're not sure.
Okay.
We're back to you, Roscoe.
Okay. Roscoe wants.
So you have a very, just before the darkness spell kicked in, you had two troglodytes in front of you. One of them was badly wounded.
Yeah, Roscoe doesn't care about them. He wants to get out of here now.
Okay.
And he wants to take advantage of the darkness to do it. So do I think, yeah, what I will just do is try and make my way toward the only exit that I remember.
Okay.
And going kind of along the wall. Like, I want to go in a way that kind of circumvents the conflict.
Okay.
And perhaps gives me as much cover. But I guess that will just be like... in a sense, I'm like taking the dash action, but in another sense, I guess I'm moving slowly because I can't really see where I'm going, and I'm trying to pick my way carefully. But yeah, I basically want to run toward the... Yeah, I'll just dash. I'll dash toward the exit.
So as you move south along the western wall to get to the exit, you basically step on Renil, and she whispers, "Help me, little man. Help me carry him outside."
Okay, I will telepathically communicate with her, and I will say, okay, I believe you're not evil now. And I'll pick up, I'll try and grab the other, his legs.
Okay.
I guess.
Great. So
carry him
both of you manage to drag his limp body basically up to the tunnel's opening. You can hear a riot around you, but no one has managed to step on you or attack you during that time. Okay, so that's good. At this point, Sidrian, he's blinded, but since he senses the huge troglodyte just in front of him, he will still try to attack him with a disadvantage because he can't see him. And he still manages to hit. So you can hear Haslat hisses again. And you can definitely, make out from the noises that Sidrian and Haslat are locked in this battle. Okay, Tal.
Am I included in this darkness?
Yeah, everyone is.
Okay, so since I can't differentiate who's who. I will use my turn to get out of this area. I would say I will back away. I'll head out south from where I was charging in. I will. Well, I can't tell which is where, but I'll back out with my movement. Will that be enough to get out of this area, or I'm still stuck in darkness?
No, so if you basically try to disengage, and so it really depends. If you want to get to the tunnel, you can simply dash, but you might incur some attacks of opportunity, obviously with a disadvantage because they don't see you, but they might still get you as you try to flee. But this will allow you to get to the tunnel and maybe even further. If you take the disengage action, you will only make it to the tunnel's opening, but not more than that. But you won't incur any attacks of opportunity. So whatever.
When I disengage, is it possible to get out of the area? Or you said?
So no, you think that the darkness covers the entire cavern, but obviously up the tunnel you think that it will be okay.
Okay, so what I'll do is I will try to disengage and use my movement to get. I will try to see if I can get out of this thing that's been happening right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you disengage and you take your movement, and this gets you to the tunnel's opening just in time to meet with Renil and Roscoe as they pull out the limp body of Azael. Now at this point you are just outside the reach of this darkness globe at the entrance to the tunnel, so you can still hear all the trogs inside with Sidrian locked in battle, but you three are right now safe.
I asked the group if possible, if I still have a free action. I asked the group where is the dwarf and where is the other guy, the human prisoner.
Roscoe will say telepathically to you, "Shh," and they can't see us, but they can still hear us. Let's go.
As this happens, you can hear. So basically, Sidrian screams, and you hear a body falls on the floor. He's basically locked in there with a slut and 6 or 7 trogs. Not a lot of chance to stay alive there. This brings us to Azael. I need you to make another death save.
Oh no!
Oh no! Okay. Renil looks at both of you, and she marks with her thumb. She places a finger on her lips, basically saying the same thing that Roscoe said, and she points up towards the tunnel. So you three should work together to carry or drag Azael up the tunnel.
Am I strong enough to be a big help with carrying Azael?
So the problem is that the tunnel is very, very narrow. You basically need one at the front and one at the back, simply pushing and pulling, and you might want someone to guard the rear. So if any of the troglodytes will...
Okay. So I recommend Roscoe and Renee, you said? Renee?
Yeah, Renil.
Renil? Okay, I tell them to tie a rope around our friend and pull him out through the tunnel while I will guard you guys or stall these creatures if they ever get out of that area.
Okay, so Renil uses her, it's her turn on initiative. So she ties a rope to her and Roscoe. She has one in her backpack. And then she goes first up the tunnel, and she pulls Azael's body inside the tunnel, and she, signal you, Roscoe, to push from Azael's boot, and you all crouch down to fit into the tunnel. Roscoe, we're back to you.
Okay. Well, I will help her some distance, but then I see that Azael is dying, and so I will telepathically communicate to her now again. I just like kind of going back and forth with the telepathy. He's dying. Wait, I have bandages.
Okay.
And I will go in my pack, and I will take out. I have a healing kit.
Okay.
So I will try and do something with that. Try and patch up his wounds and stabilize him.
Okay. A healer's kit. Let's see what that does.
It normally automatically stabilizes the wounded person.
Okay, great. Then in this case, you all stop at the bottom of the tunnel while Roscoe quickly stabilizes Azael. So Azael, you're still unconscious, but you're not in an immediate risk of dying. I guess you need to restart your mic again.
Yeah, Daniel, your mic is going crazy again.
No, not still.
Far from okay.
This is the part where you slide that technical difficulty screen on, on your video. Please wait.
Yeah.
How does this sound now?
Oh, much better.
There you go.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so as I said, Roscoe managed to, just in the last minute, stabilize you and bandage all your bleeding wounds, so you are now stable. Still unconscious, but stable. Roscoe, any other thing you want to do? Do you want to use your move at this point?
Sure, yeah, with my move, I will continue to, as Razil suggested, push him further up the tunnel behind her.
Okay, Renil, she nods in appreciation. Tal, you're up, and you hear that the trogs, you know, they shriek and hiss, but you think you hear Haslat's voice overcoming their noise. He's probably issuing commands. You think they got a grip on themselves, and now they are searching the way out. What do you do? Tal?
Oh, it was me. I was muted.
Okay.
Okay, so since everyone's clear to go, I'll follow them. And there's no point on fighting these creatures anymore.
Okay.
Oh, before that happens, can I check if Sidrian like got out of that area?
So as you look at this bubble of darkness, the only thing you see is two trogs as they emerge from darkness. They seem a little confused, but then they look straight at you and rush to you with their fangs drawn and there's hissing to the other warriors that they have spotted you. But only the two of them are in range for you to attack.
Oh, they're within attack range.
Yeah, and
so
this is your turn. So you basically looked around for Sidrian, but only they emerged outside.
Is it possible to just go inside the tunnel?
You can basically using a strength check to basically try and push all the Renil, Roscoe, and the Zeal up the tunnel. You can try and do that, yes.
With disadvantage.
Yep. Oh!
I think that's enough. I hope.
Awesome. So with a disadvantage, you got a 23. That's amazing. So you roar. So Roscoe, Renil, and Azael, you all feel this, you know, like this huge force pushing you up the tunnel. You all skid and slide as as the mighty Talrashar manages to use the slippery mud and simply push you out. Yeah, exactly like childbirth. That's a good analogy. Okay, this time it's the troglodytes' turn, and two of them try to get into the tunnel. Only one of them is able to attack Tal, but he still tried to claws you. Yeah.
Oh no.
So his first attack, his bite was a 2, so he didn't make that. And his claw was a critical failure, so he slips and falls on the tunnel and basically slips back, colliding with his with the other troglodyte. So they both are still at the entrance to the tunnel. Azael, fortunately, you're still down. Renil simply, let's see, maybe she can actually do something. Yeah, she can actually do something. So she straighten up, points at the bottom of the tunnel, and she whispers a word. And this bolt of energy emerges from her hand, striking the troglodyte that just tried to hit you, Tal. And all you hear is hissing and shrieking as those bolts hit that troglodyte, and he falls down, clutching his chest. After that, she grabs the rope and pushes Azael's body up. Roscoe.
Okay. I will say out loud, because I want them both Renil and Talrashar to hear. I say, you know, there are so many. Maybe we should, when Tal gets out, we should try and collapse the tunnel so that they can't chase us. But I don't really know how to do that. So I will just kind of say that and then continue dragging, I guess, Azael, hopefully not through any broken glass.
Okay.
In the winery, and just try and you know, make it as far as possible toward the exit.
Okay, so you push hard. I need you to make a wisdom check. Okay, so it occurs to you that on the way down, you noticed that the entrance to the tunnel from the winery was held by those Zerkwood beams. Zerkwood is a substance that is found underground. It's the trunk of a very large mushroom, and if handled correctly, it can, you know, be used as wood. You think that you saw, or you remember that you saw several beams at the entrance to the tunnel. You think that a good pull on those beams will probably collapse the muddy tunnel.
I will convey this information to the others. That, okay, so the tunnel ahead, correct? Or
yeah,
the tunnel
ahead.
Up ahead, yeah, there are some fungal beams, and they are not very strong. Tal, I'm sure you can tear them down.
Great. Tal, your turn is up, and you can see that one of the troglodyte, the one that was hurt by the magic missile, now lingers back, but the other one hops into the tunnel, preparing himself to grab you. Now, this is your turn, so if you want to do something about it, that's the time.
Okay, so can I just quickly get out of the tunnel, or is Roscoe and the rest of group are still
so
here?
Make another athletics check like you did before, If you manage to pull that one off, you might give birth to the three your three companions. Basically, push them out of the tunnel.
Again, with this disadvantage.
Yeah.
14.
Okay, so a 14 is not enough. You manage to push them a little bit up, but that gives enough time for the last troglodyte to hop into the tunnel and rush up to you. So that was basically your action, and you can't move because your path is blocked. So he tries to grab you and pull you down. I need you to make a strength or dexterity check, whatever you prefer. And this is...
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! 9.
So this troglodyte basically grabs your feet as you try to avoid it, and then you wiggle out, you kick it in the face, and he loses his grip and he slides down down the tunnel. He rolled a 1 on his check, so yeah, lucky for you.
I give a sigh.
Okay, and with Renil's turn, you all manage to break free of the tunnel and find yourself covered in blood, mud, and holding the limp body of your friend, and you are all at the glass blowers workshop, just watching the open tunnel in front of you, and you manage to get out in time. Roscoe.
Okay, yeah, I'm not stopping here. I'm trying to, with cooperation with Renil, carry Azael as far as we can go.
Okay, great. So
I guess dashing while carrying.
Yeah, you managed to go up from the basement up to the main floor of the winery and out. The three of you step out into the sunshine, feeling a little bit better. Tal, what do you want to do?
Oh, just one quick thing. Some time ago, I threw a knife at one of the troglodytes and killed it that way, and so I just want to kind of grab my knife also.
Okay, you do that. Renil looks at you confused, but she shrugs and...
It's mine, don't worry, I'm not stealing.
Yeah, she, instead of going out to face the sun, she basically finds this shady corner leaning against the wall of the winery. She squints. You think she doesn't enjoy the sun that much. Tal, it's your turn.
So, seeing that we made it past these events, can I still block the path that these troglodytes are following us?
So you think that if you pull hard on the Zirkwood beams, you might be able to collapse the tunnel.
Okay, so I'll do that then.
Okay, make your check then. Okay, yep. So with a 15, still with disadvantage, you manage to pull the beams, and as you do, it triggers this mud landslide. So the tunnel basically collapses, and huge bubbles of mud slide out from the tunnel into the basement. But also you hear this huge sucking voice, like the whole tunnel is like in a chain event. Mud slides down and buries whatever was inside the tunnel. You're not sure what happened to everyone in the cavern inside, but no troglodyte will dig himself out of this mess. At least this is what you think.
Okay, so I just give a worried look about how Sidrian is and how the other prisoners are, but I'm just thankful that I got some of the group here safe and they're still living. And then after this, I tell the group that the Greenest is being raided by a group of people and a dragon.
Okay.
Quick question, because I didn't I'm not sure if we discussed about if what kind of dragon this is, or I mean what color dragon is.
It
Like,
was a blue dragon.
oh, a blue dragon. Okay, so I tell them that a huge blue dragon is also aiding these people in raiding Venus.
Maybe we should go to the woods and hide until Azael wakes up.
I tell Roscoe, as long as we are, if you guys are willing to aid the town, because if not, after our rest, I am willing to charge in to aid the town.
And Renil says, the town is doomed. We should look for the 3 dragon eggs I mentioned before.
I go, well, if you're so interested in those dragon eggs, be my guest. I give her one of my hand axe if she doesn't have a weapon.
So
And I go,
yeah.
I say to her, oh, sorry.
oh, I just go, how about you guys?
I'm out. I can't say anything.
I'm
So-
curious. I ask
wait a
Brazil,
minute,
why do you want the dragon eggs? Do you want to make an omelet? Do you want to scramble them? Do you want to fry them? Do you want to boil them?
So Azael, just for the sake of our sanity here, we can assume that if you rest for a while in the sun and your friends are treating you, you can have 1 hit point. So you'll regain consciousness. I think it's fine.
All right.
And to your question, Renil says, I don't want to boil them, I want to destroy them. Black dragons are a very dangerous kind of dragons, and my mission was to locate those eggs and destroy them. You are very competent. And she looks at Azael as he regains consciousness. There is much power in the 3 of you, and destroying those eggs will be a good thing to do. I am sorry for your town, but according to what I saw when I was prisoner of these cultists, your town is doomed.
So I'm thinking about this at the meantime, and I sigh. I can't help but agree with her. At this time, the town is under attack by not just an army, but a dragon. At least here, if we destroy these 3 eggs, we can do some good. And I've already agreed to follow through with this back in the cavern. What say you guys?
I want to save the town. If the eggs are where are the eggs? Do you know where the eggs are?
I believe the cultists keep them in their camp, which should be nearby, but I don't know exactly where.
How close is the camp to the town?
She thinks, and then she says, well, if the raiders came from the camp, it can't be too far. We can probably track their trail.
We can strike at the camp and then go into the town to see what we can do for the people.
So I will make you a deal. You will help me locate the eggs, and then I will help you aid the town or any survivor that is located there.
I think
Any
we should help
disagreement?
the town first. I think it's an emergency now. Tal, what did you see at the town? Can we help the town?
I believe with her statement, with us together, we propose a potential threat. So, and I have seen too much people die from what is happening right now. And if it wasn't for me, you will be stuck in that prison in the first place. I point at the drow.
Well, I have to rest anyways. It's gonna take a while for me to regain to my original health. How long has it been since the attack?
I can't tell since before I arrived to the town was being raided already.
Let's hide in the forest near the road and maybe rest a little bit, and then decide. Maybe someone will come down the road, and we can make friends with them, and they can give us information.
So as you say that, that maybe someone will come down the road, you all hear a voice. And Tal, you recognize this voice immediately as the voice of Vadura. She emerges from the trail with her men holding two limp bodies of troglodytes, two of them. And she says, "Well, it's the coward again. This time, Talrashar, you will not survive." And she and her soldiers draw their swords. And I think we'll stop here for today.
Oh no!
That line remembers me about that Mortal Kombat line. Too bad you will die.
I dropped like a sack of potatoes back there.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an amazing rescue mission from the cavern. I liked it.
No one's intended. The decision making is so hard.
Okay, cool.
Why
yeah.
Why do you have to make it feel like Game of Thrones where I have to sacrifice people I like?
Yeah, it won't be interesting otherwise. The tough decision is, yeah, it's the best kind of decision.
Yeah, it's been tough.
Okay.
It is tough, but at the same time, it's very fun. Thank you for the session.
Well, that's my pleasure. So please keep all your current hit points, and if you used any special ability, spell or whatnot, make sure to take note at Roll20. So we'll start next Friday exactly where we are right now, and no, you hadn't have the time for a short rest.
Okay, I was gonna follow up that question.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess my sort of follow. If I could ask a quick question,
Sure.
I mean, I imagine that we might have enough XP from this session to level, but
right. So yeah, I think you should. Let me see. Do I feel?
We do you feel generous? We just need 50.
Oh yeah. So if you need only 50, yes. So I think you have enough to level up. So please do level up, and I will hand the exact XP when I summarize this session. By the way, yeah, this session, this episode name was That Which Survives. So yeah, we yeah. No mistake there.
We barely managed to survive.
And you still have Vadura and her soldiers, obviously after Tal. And you do seem to understand that Tal and this woman has a history. But
she was my ex.
Yeah, so maybe next session we'll have time to understand what's going on between Tal and these cultists. So as usual, I will summarize this episode. I will upload all information to Roll20, and if you have any questions, things that I didn't mention, if you want me to be specific about something, message me and I will answer whatever question I can. Okay?
cool.
Of course.
Thank you
And
so
I
much.
bet that we will have next session maybe our fourth team member running out of the woods and saving us
Oh,
from this
save our
Ooh,
ass.
next catastrophe.
Yeah, and you do have this mysterious Renil with you so far, so it should be interesting. Hopefully we'll have a fourth member by then. Okay,
Cool.
great.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank
Have a
you.
great
Yeah,
week.
take it easy.
See you next Friday.
See ya.
Bye bye.